I have kind of a serious video. I'm not going to take a really long time doing this. I have some friends in the North Carolina area that just, the whole area got decimated by the floods and Hurricane Helene. They've been doing an amazing job getting supplies to people like insulin and gas cans and gasoline and water. They're really remarkable couple, and their dog Gunner, and that is Vanboozled, and I will tag that below. I'll also put it right here. There's another video that if you really just can't wrap your head around how bad the situation is in Western North Carolina, I want you to watch this video. It's in the description. It's a very thorough video, and it really does explain the aftermath of Hurricane Helene in Western North Carolina. There's some pretty graphic things that they talk about there, so trigger warning now. I definitely encourage you to go watch it so you can really just wrap your head around the situation there. I myself have been in a flood in a situation like this. My car went floating down the river. Fortunately, my apartment was on the second floor. My downstairs neighbor lost everything, but he had nowhere to go. He ended up living with me in my house in my living room, and we set him up there, and it was for a good 3 months until they could renovate the bottom apartment again and he could live in it. But losing everything and not having access to power, and like people were using horseback to get supplies to people in remote areas. They were using their ATVs. It was insane. Entire major routes were washed out. And so this is what's happening in Western North Carolina, and like the whole concept of rebuilding it there, like houses, entire neighborhoods are just gone, wiped away. Roads were washed out by landslides and mud. There's footage in the video where you see just 10, 15 feet of mud just stacked up against a house and then shifting the house. It's insane. And I think people really need to see that video just to get their mind around like what can happen. I think this is going to put a lot of people lost their lives, but a lot of people lost their homes. They lost their livelihood. They lost their businesses. They lost everything. They're lucky to have their lives. And one of my friends lost like 6 horses, and it just is very, very sad. It's very hard to even talk about. Please go visit Vanboozled. She has some available places for you to donate to. The video that I'm going to tag in the description, is also going to list places that you can donate to and what they need and how fast they need it and where you can bring it if you have access to do that. How does this relate to van life? Well, it puts a lot of people out of their homes. And what they need right now is solar powered things because they don't have gas. Their generators are washed away. And those are expensive things to get to them in isolated areas. And there's a fuel shortage out there right now because so many people are using what they do have. It really sets a stage for van life and the solar movement that we have going with van life. And I think it does kind of show you how important it is to have some kind of off-grid source of power. I feel like there will be a lot more people displaced from this because they've lost their homes. They will have nothing to live in, not even a vehicle. Everywhere there's just upturned cars. I mean, they're just littered everywhere. People were stranded on the side of the road. I mean, it just dumped rain for 3 straight days by the foot. People had nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go. Everywhere was washed out. Everything was underwater. Every escape route was just wet, too wet to travel through. When the water finally did come through, they would have to abandon their cars, and those cars all got washed away as well. There's just I don't know how they're ever going to clean it up. I mean, they're mangled around trees. They're wrapped in the trees. There's bushels of trees with mangled vehicles in them. I don't know how they're going to replace any of that. I feel like the insurance companies are going to start pulling some bullshit and not really coming through for these people, especially the car insurance, because nobody has flood insurance. People do, but it's too expensive. Most people don't. So how are they going to replace their vehicles? How are they, let's just hope and pray that the insurance comes through for them. But we know from the past is that they have not. I don't even want to get into the politics of it, but like they come down and shut down the airspace so that the people who are sending in supplies and rescuing people can't do anything because we have officials in suits. It's just ridiculous. Do something. Bring some supplies with you if you're going to shut down the whole airspace. Anyway, the video in the caption really does explain it. Please visit Vanboozled to learn where you can donate supplies, money, anything. I just don't want to leave my platform without talking about this. I just don't want to leave this void in my platform. I did go back and make a post on TikTok just because my friends are out there and I'm worried about them. With the following I have on TikTok, they can, you know, make a difference. I don't have a big following here. Still want people to know what's going on out there, but I'm glad you're here. And even if there's nothing you can do to help, if you can just share the video below that I've tagged in the description, that helps a lot, because people really need to understand how bad the decimation is out there. So much more to it than that. I think that people are going to be escaping to vehicles and moving out of state to find a new life for themselves, if they can find a vehicle, because most of them were ruined out there. I'm sure there's going to be some bad dealerships that, you know, find some flooded engines, cars that have just been like through a flood that should not be resold. But that happened to me. I bought a car like that in Vermont after the hurricane there. It screwed me. There's probably going to be people doing that, trying to bank off of other people's struggle, because humans. I feel like now more than ever, van life, nomad life, vehicle dwelling is going to become a necessity out there. I think people are going to see that having a dwelling in one place and laying down roots it's not the save-all. It is not the end-all be-all for safe and resourceful living. These people did prepare, but it was washed all away. People had cords of wood stacked up for the winter. They had food stores washed away. It's all gone. I mean, there were coffins floating down the river. I think that this really does set the stage for how people look at nomadism and how people perceive van life, and that it can be a really great alternative to purchasing land, to owning a home, to dealing with all the responsibilities of having fire, flood, theft insurance for a dwelling, for a building, when in a van or some other type of vehicle you have the ability to move. Unfortunately, these people really didn't have that much time, and the friends that are out there that are nomads, holy crap, the fact that they were able to find high land and survive, I mean, they literally woke up and everything around them was underwater. It was just insane. But at least they had the chance to get to high ground, where other people are scrambling within hours of knowing how bad the emergency situation was, scrambling to get all of their, you know, the more you have to lose. And I think that it really does set precedence for van life and how we should perceive it, because there's a lot of people that think, oh, it's for poor people, oh, you're not helping society, oh, you're a dirtbag, and that's really not what most van lifers are. Sure, there's a subgenre of us that participate in being low lives. Absolutely, I was one of them. But there's also a huge set of us that are community based, and we take care of other people, and we see the need for help in situations, and we want to be part of a community. But this really does set the stage for how people perceive van life. I think a lot of people out there will be living out of vehicles if they can even find one. I wish I had a more like connective thought process on this, but that's all I got right now. Love you guys. Thanks for watching.